shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, and happy Monday. How is everyone today? Shawn Michael here with our weekly Monday MindShift, and I see my Zoom is crazy tight. So let me fix that so you don't see all my flaws, how long my eyebrows are, or whatever, age spots or anything like that. Glad to have everyone here. I see Leanna's dropped a comment that she's busy. I see Jackie. Welcome, Jackie. Glad to have you here. And I'm excited to share this final episode of the Identity Blindspot Series. So, if you recall, we've looked at several blind spots over this last several weeks. And last week I did a really unique format that was sharing the story of some lives that have been part of my orbit, some of the changes and shifts I saw, and what was underneath all of that. That probably works better. So glad to have everybody here, and give it just a few minutes. I see we got a few people on LinkedIn and nobody on YouTube. Remember that you can also watch this, because I know LinkedIn is really buggy. Hello, Melanie. Excited to have you here live. I know Melanie usually is in team replay, so I feel very excited and honored that she's able to join me live today. Also, I know, Jackie, you don't always get the chance to be here, so I'm excited that you're here. I appreciate everybody who does show up, whether you're here on Team Live or Team Replay. Your participation, your comments are appreciated. I'm working on getting better at responding to comments. We all know how that can be, that sometimes life is busy and we get distracted, and we forget to go do the thing we say we wanted to do, or that we know that we wanted to do. We're all learning, we're all growing, we're all finding our way in this great big world. As my dear friend Melanie says, in our fragile AI world. All right. So we got a little bit of people presence. I don't want to keep you waiting, because there's always, on YouTube, you can always rewind and get back to live, or you can catch replay on either LinkedIn or YouTube. So I'll go ahead and get started with what I wanted to share and honor your time, because our time, your time, my time is the one resource that is the most precious to me. Because money, you can earn more money, you can save money, you can put some money aside for a rainy day. Energy, that's a renewable source. You can do things that give you more energy. You can, all of these other resources, we can save some, we can do things to make more of it, get more of it, except time. Time is that one thing that we're all equal. We all get the same amount of time. You can't save it, you can't get more of it. So the reality, the truth in this is that how we decide to use it. Right? I'm thinking of the live show called Rent, and the song is in my head. Like, I heard this song so many times, and the song goes 525,600 minutes. That number, that's how many minutes we each have in a full year. And I've seen the breakdown. Imagine if you had a bank account and they did the minutes in a day. I don't remember what it is, but how we choose to use our time it's critical, right? So the fact that you've carved out a slice of your time to be here live or to take a break and watch the replay, it's appreciated and it's recognized. All right. So, have you ever looked around at the life you've built and quietly you felt like a guest in it? I want to tell you that that feeling has a name. That name isn't confusion. It's not ingratitude. It's simply the cost of becoming. Now, most leadership content is like, we celebrate growth. We talk about becoming. We share the wins. That's a positive thing. Ashif, thank you for joining. Glad to have you. Right? We share the wins, we share the updates, the pivots, the pivotal, reaching a new level. But what we don't talk about is the grief that we can feel in these moments. Today, I want to change that. Because this is not a conversation about failure. I want it to be an honest conversation. I want to look at the real emotional weight of personal evolution. That includes grief, it can include guilt, it can include loneliness, because you're moving, you're evolving, you're growing, while those that you might be very close to you, those you love, seem to be standing still. And in my life, in my experience, I've realized something. I've learned something. When people are genuinely evolving, at some point that growth stops feeling like gain, and it can begin to feel like loss, because the people around might seem a little farther away, or further away, because I don't necessarily mean physical distance, I mean that feeling of distance. Lisa, welcome. Sharon Rose, Sue, Michael, glad to have you all here. Right? And sometimes those conversations can feel thin, shallow. And we might find ourselves showing up in places that we used to belong. And something inside whispers, it's not quite you anymore. That's not a problem that you have to solve. It's a transition to understand. It's a transition I had to learn to understand. And I hope to share with you that the same idea, that it's something to understand, to look at openly, and not see it as a problem to be solved. The challenge is, Nick, welcome, happy Monday. The challenge is many people avoid this conversation because it doesn't fit the standard growth story, right? It doesn't work in a highlight reel. And honestly, it's a bit too honest for a lot of content that you find online. So often we carry this alone and we think, something wrong with me? I want you to know this. Nothing is wrong with you. It's part of the process of becoming. It's part of the process of growing and evolving. And that process has real costs. Here's what happens when someone outgrows their old story. It can start very subtly. You stop shrinking in those conversations that you used to shrink in. You say things that you used to swallow, or you make a decision that the old version of you would have spiraled, second guessing yourself round and round and round. And in tide, you notice this reaction, right? It's subtle. You notice reaction. Somebody in the room gets quiet. The relationship shifts just a little bit. Somebody in your life who loved the old version of you, the one that needed them, starts to feel like things are moving, like almost like, we get a lot of earthquakes here in Guatemala. So it's like when the earth starts shaking, it's kind of how it feels like that. The challenge is those people usually respond the way that we've learned. And that is to pull back, to pull away. And they're not doing it to hurt us. And I really want you to take this here. As I said, let me repeat that. They're not doing it to hurt you, to harm you. They're not villains. The people that are resisting your growth, your evolution, don't see them as villains, because they're not. They have built the relationship with a prior version of you that felt safe and familiar and knowable even. And when you change, suddenly the contract is rewritten, and they're going, wait, I didn't sign that. So how do we deal with this? I know for myself, I used to manage it. I tried to manage it, showing up as my old version of me, softening my edges to keep the peace. I mean, that's kind of was my byline a lot of my life, is avoid conflict, establish peace. Between my star sign and my childhood experience was keep the peace. If I caused a ripple, fix it. If somebody else is causing a ripple, step in and create peace. And it was a mess. I was bilingual in new me, old me language. And it worked for a while, it worked. Till one day it didn't. When that cost of translating all the time got heavier than what I was trying to protect, that's when it shifted. And the truth is this: you don't have to abandon where you came from in order to grow. Let me repeat that. You don't have to abandon where you came from in order to grow. You do have to stop pretending you're still there. Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Because it's not just about those relationships. The most dangerous version, it's the one you run on yourself. I've sat with leaders and founders and coaches, executives. These people had real capability, real insights, right? Their track record spoke for them. And I saw a pattern through all of it, that it's not usually a fear of failure. It's a fear of the relational cost of succeeding at something new. People stall when they start to move to the next chapter, and they stall. And it's not because they don't believe it. It's because they are afraid that moving forward means admitting that wasn't the last chapter. It means that the people that were in their circles, in their life, Leslie, welcome. The people that were in their life now have to adapt and learn the new version of you. The one that they didn't see coming. It means we have to stand in the gap between who I was and who I'm becoming alone. Right? It's usually alone. But it's only for a while. Right? It's not permanent. It's not long term. It's a period. It's kind of like grieving a physical loss, right? There's a mourning period. So when we're going up to a new version of ourselves, there's going to be a mourning period. That gap is real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or tell you, it's just in your head. It's real. I've lived it. It carries a lot of things with it. It carries guilt of wanting more than the old story we've been carrying, of understanding that wanting to grow and be better is not selfishness. Rather, it's evidence of being alive, that your life is not settled, that you've got a new chapter and you hold the pen. So what will you write? Everybody that's watching this, I'm sure you know there's more. there's a better version of your life. There's a better version of you. Not everyone's going to come with you. That doesn't mean that you're wrong or anything else negative. It's simply a fact that you're moving. So sit with that. And this leads us to the famous two-chair dialogue. Our two chairs, right? The first chair is that version of you who's holding on to that old story. It's not that it fits anymore. The trick is that people around you are comfortable with that story. So that version of you shows up smaller, translates, old me, new me language translation. We manage the rooms that we don't need to manage. And in chair 2 is the version of you that's outgrown this. That version isn't louder or harder or more arrogant. Absolutely, Leslie, right? This isn't about ghosting people. It's about understanding that it's going to take time for them to adjust to the new you. And sometimes that can be a very difficult challenge. Sometimes they welcome it. They're like, oh, I love the new you. Because the version of you that's in chair 2 is more honest, settled and grounded in who they are, who you are. Doesn't want to perform a fake version of yourself for an audience that probably isn't even paying attention. So, as before, you can have a conversation. You can let the version in chair 1 speak. What does it feel? What is it thinking? What is it operating? What is it trying to protect you from? Chair 2 is the voice of wisdom, right? I've moved on. I'm ready to step into this new version of me fully, with patience for those that are going to have to adjust, with patience through the process, the willingness to spend a little time alone, or at least feeling alone. Chair 2 can reaffirm, like, this is not Marlon, welcome. That's one of my local connections here in Guatemala. I met him last year at an AI summit. So excited to have you here, Marlon. Thank you for joining. The version in chair 2 can reassure the chair 1 version that this isn't about abandoning people. It's not about ghosting people. It's about stepping into this new version, more honest, more true, no more shrinking, no more translation, but step into it and carry forward from that position. So your one question here, what are you protecting by staying where you are? And what is it really costing? putting that in the chat. So once again, what are you protecting by staying where you are? Thanks, Nick. Glad to have you here. Have a great Monday, great week. What are you protecting by staying where you are? And what is that protection actually costing you? I don't want you to rush the answer. Any, welcome, because the true answer, the real answer, takes time. And it will typically come in quiet and when you stop arguing with yourself. When you let things settle, then the voice can come and speak to you and give you the right answer. And I want you to carry this question with you today and through the week. What version of yourself have you been maintaining simply for the comfort of the people around you? And what is the real cost of moving forward? I don't mean the cost to them that you might be thinking, but the cost, the way that growth always costs for those closest to it. A little disorientation, some recalibration, right? There's a little recalibrating. But here's the reality. If it's a real relationship, the ones that we want to hold on to, it's a deeper knowing of who you really are. This loneliness that we feel in transition, as I said, it's real. I'm not going to shrink it or minimize it. It's real. It's a part of the process, just like failure is part of the process in the road to success. But there's a bonus that I want to share, and that is that you will gain a quality of self-respect that no relationship could ever provide. You will learn and feel a steadiness that no longer needs those old stories to hold it up. And you will get to live, as Annie says, into our potential in a life of fulfillment, of having all the things that can light us up and make life better for us. But best of all, that comes when the life that you're living is truly yours. That is worth the price of the ticket every time. So I want to end here with a gentle invitation. If anything today or anything in this entire series hit close to home, don't let it just stay here. The Identity Clarity Call is the place that we can talk about this. It's not a funnel, it's not a pitch. It's a real conversation about what's actually blocking your move. If you're interested, send me a message this week. Send me a message anytime. Let's have a talk. with strengthened heart, thank you for listening. I'm going to share the link to the stage if anyone wants to come and join and ask questions, share their thoughts. You are most welcome. As always, camera does not have to be on. I love hearing from you, whether it's in the comments or on stage. And I think it enriches this, especially since the way I launched this was about conversation. And then the world shifted, the LinkedIn world, and audio rooms went away. And I wanted to keep it here on LinkedIn. I know there's still Clubhouse. I haven't ever even started a room. I've listened to rooms, but I've never actually started a room. I don't even know how to do it on Clubhouse. This transition was easier, but if you're willing to come up and share, you have questions, you have comments, love to hear from you. But no matter what, thank you for your interactions in the comments. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you're joining by replay. And as I said earlier, I'm working on being more focused about going back through the comments and sending replies where appropriate. Let me share this comment from Marlon. Right, these changes can lead to more self-respect if we do them right. Right. Any shares, the cost is reaching our potential, finding fulfillment and success. And I would say that should be self-defined, right? What does success look like for you? I can't define your success. Leslie can't define your success. Annie can't define your success. It's very personal. Okay, I see a comment to Paulette, but I do not see Paulette's comment. All right, and then Jackie shares that she feels Annie is right, and he is. Leslie's wisdom that the reactive subconscious, the other side, the thinking, the conscious part, right? And we could even say, some would say the higher self in the chair, in the second chair. Great way to put it, Sue, like a flower blossoming. I like to even think about it as a seed. In order for the seed to grow the plant, it has to let go of being a seed. I've actually heard it said, the seed has to die in order for it to produce the flower, the fruit. Leslie, this comment, if you would be so kind as to clarify. Oh, maybe you did. Let's see. Maybe she's, because there's this comment here as well. Moving on without completing can be hurtful. Yeah. Whenever you think no one saw or no one heard, yeah, not likely. They heard it, they saw it. One more from Leslie here. A season of reason, our lifetime, we all fit in here. Yes, we do need to exercise empathy and emotional intelligence. It's a skill that we can develop. And let me welcome Annie to the stage. Invisible Annie. All right. It seems Annie has joined the stage, but he's doing something else for now.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Where's my camera? Oh no. Ugh, okay. My camera's not plugged in. Yeah, my camera is
There he
plugged in.
is.
My camera is plugged in. Let me mute you on the other channel. Yes. How are you anyway, Sean? How are you,
I am
Coach?
doing wonderfully. I had a nice little quiet, relaxing time last week to get a little recharge, a little time to just be with my family and just enjoy life.
Excellent. I mean, isn't that what success looks like?
To me, yeah.
Yeah.
And to have more freedom and more opportunities to do that
Yeah.
without stress of am I going to make rent this month or something like that.
Yes, money is important amongst other things. But I think the peace of mind, the absence of turmoil, is probably one of the benefits of becoming who you are meant to become. Being who you are meant to be, getting to that level rather than staying put. So staying where you are because it's comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but they said I think most animals, most living beings, apart from plants, and even plants, maybe I'll add plants to the equation. They love the comfort zone. They love finding a place where they're comfortable and just staying there until they die.
Especially plants, right? I was just talking
Yeah.
about how some plants, if you like a ficus, right? You move that thing 1 millimeter and it throws all its leaves on the ground in rebellion.
Yes,
And it
no.
might work for plants. It doesn't work so good as a human being.
It doesn't work for plants either. To be fair, because they might stay there till I was gardening this morning, and I have a courtyard garden, so it's a concrete thing, right? So any plant that's growing has to go because it's not natural to be growing out of concrete, right?
Right.
So
You mean like between the like in the gaps.
in the gaps on top of and any which way, saying, staying in my garden as your comfort zone plant is the worst mistake you ever made. You're going, whether you like it or not. Even if you find that gap, you're still gonna go because I'm gonna dig you out and
Right,
cause a
because I
few.
didn't put you there.
Yeah. And then there's no soil. There's not enough soil for you to have deep embedded roots. So everything that is gonna happen in your comfort zone on my step in my garden is a force. There's no foundation, Sean. There's no foundation for it. So unlucky.
Right.
I think
Comfortable or not.
yes,
Comfortable or not, if the foundation isn't there, you're gone.
exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah.
And either because you've been removed or it's, well, I had this happen. I was out in front of my house and I saw two little green balls on a plant, and I'm like, those look like tomatoes. Where did they come from? Like,
It's not a tomato plant, no?
it was a tomato plant
There you go. Okay.
that just kind of shot up on its own, but a few weeks later it just died
Mm.
because, as we said, it didn't have the right foundation. It didn't have the right, of course, we have there's a fungus in the soil here in Guatemala. Even when I intentionally planted tomatoes, it sprouted up, it looked great, bloomed the flowers, I saw the fruit developing, and I go out one day and the whole thing's rotten
Mm.
because the rain came, hit the soil, and splashed the fungus up on the plant and killed it.
I'm wondering whether there's a lesson in intentionality.
I think it is, like if you plant something in yourself, since that's what we're talking about, and you
Mm.
want it to grow, you've got to make sure the conditions are right, which can mean shifting your environment, shifting the soil you're in, the groups, the people you spend time with, um, nurturing it. Giving it. You said you were gardening, like
Yeah.
you got to garden your own garden
Mm.
here and here, right? Because those rogue plants will grow in the gaps, and one thing I have a big problem with here in Guatemala, especially at this time of year because our rainy season is starting. My son walked out in the front flower bed. He's like, when did all those weeds grow like that? It's seemingly overnight. Like, because we just planted sunflowers and carrots, and there were a few weeds, but we had actually cleared some of the soil. That whole thing's covered in weeds. I got to go out there and de-weed it all. You've got opportunists that will come in and take advantage of the situation. And so we have to evaluate our relationships and say, is this person willing to come with me to level up, to accept me as the version I'm becoming? Or are they still wanting to pull me back like the crab in the bucket? And as Leslie pointed out, we can move on, but do it with empathy and emotional intelligence. Right? It's not a shunning.
Hmm. So part of me thinks of the fact that the divine, whatever that source is for you, puts you in places at the right time.
Right.
Places.
I'm a firm believer in that, Annie. I've always said a reason or a season.
Hmm. It's almost as if unless you believe you are that person, you're the one to do whatever it is, then you can easily say no to opportunities. But then I said that's part of the preparation to be who you are, right? To get to this level, you have to be now. Yeah, you have to be able to recognize, yeah, I guess the things that can serve you.
Yes,
You know,
and not every opportunity is that, right?
mm,
Part of growing and evolving is learning, like, I don't need to take opportunities to prove something to me, to myself, or to prove something to somebody else. I can take the opportunities that fit. And by
yeah,
saying no, like we talked about 2 weeks ago, the sacred no, saying no to the things that are out of alignment, I have the space to say yes to the things that are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that includes people, places, and things.
Mm, mm. And so sometimes it's just not obvious. I guess again, coming back to the why would I want to stay where I am question. Again, I say, won't say it's comfortable. Part of taking opportunities, it means doing something, doing more different, right?
Right.
And I think many of us love to just, not to do anything new because we know how it works. We know what happens, right?
Right.
Whereas taking opportunities does mean exposing yourself to new in every sense. Potential failures,
Right.
potential.
The unknown, which
Yes, that
as
one. The
human
uncertain.
beings, we like, not that.
Yeah,
Anything but that.
yeah, exactly that. And
Right. We'd rather sit in a known problem
yes,
than step
then
out
on
of it
a certain
into the
solution.
unknown.
Yes, no, really. So I mean, the reality is that once I understood this, it means fear of success is as much as we have as much a fear of success as well as of a fear of failure.
Right. And Leslie always teaches about the ghosts of fear, right? And they all fears boil down to the same cores, right? And I would say, and I'm not saying this to discount the fears, because the fears that we're facing, that we're feeling, they're 100% real. But they're generated through our thoughts, right? It's how we think about that thing, how we think we will feel in that thing. And then the consciousness rises up the fear and goes, nope, don't do that. Whether it's unconscious sabotage or stalling, or the more conscious actions we take, like staying put, staying in our comfort zone instead of stepping out. I actually had this happen. I had a powerful 30-day work with someone, and they wrote a beautiful testimonial. And I said, can I include your story in my book? Yes. But please keep my name out of it.
Really?
Because I think part of it is a fear that since I'm coaching people on something, I can't show that I'm working with a coach to deal with that something.
Yes. I heard what you just said. Doesn't every coach have a coach?
Any good coach has a coach or
Yes.
a mentor or somebody who can guide and hold a mirror up,
Yeah.
we all have blind spots and we can't see them. That's why we call them blind spots.
Mm. 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 I mean, there's many other, marketers have marketers. That might be strange to some people, but that is the truth. Just as therapists have their own therapist.
Therapists have therapists, mentors have mentors,
Yeah.
coaches have coaches.
So it's absurd to know someone to think that they don't want to be known to have a network of people who support their growth.
And
That's
it's this misunderstanding we have. Like, if I'm going to coach someone on having a better mindset, as an example, I need to have my mindset dialed. I can't have any flaws. That's so false. Right? We're all finding our way. We all have our bad days, and where the old mindset comes back and tries to pull us back. I had a great discussion on this recently. The difference is when we fall down, we know how to get back up more easily, more quickly. Right? The thing that would take us out for a week or a month takes minutes or hours, right? It's we bounce back much quicker because we've learned how to navigate through it. And I believe that once we've built the trust, that trust will be magnified when they see, like, hey, I'm still struggling with this. I'm not perfect. I'm not standing on a I don't like pedestals. I hate pedestals. Do not put me on a pedestal, because I spend a lot of time on my life. And I told my wife this because she held me way up on a pedestal. I said, I feel like I'm standing on this little thing and I'm balancing. Slightest wrong movement and down I go.
It's a long way down.
And nobody wants to live like that. Right? I could even think of, you could name any guru or influencer, and they're not perfect. There's Miss Paulette.
No one's perfect. That's
No
the
one's
truth.
perfect.
Full stop. No one's perfect. Yeah, but I think I think we have a. Let me say, I had a misunderstanding maybe of what it means to evolve, to grow, to become a new version of you, right? And I think that we expect to basically make the transition in one swoop. Today we're A, tomorrow we're B, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we think it's going to be, it means, like you said, a complete and perfect version of ourselves. Of course, it's not. It means nothing. No, it means just that taking progressive steps. Which is part of a long journey at best of times. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not, it's not going to, it's not going to be black to white just like that. It's a
Right.
lot of.
You don't wake up one day, everything's fallen into place.
Exactly. Really not. And I think, many of us have this assumption that, we are going to see, rather than evolution, I think maybe it's because we use the word transformation. We expect to see, almost a species change. Which
Exactly. Yeah. Like, instead of just watching a small adaptation, which is what typically happens, we're expecting this, like, single-celled organism walks out on land all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Like we
flying the plane.
expect that with our own transformation, right? Instead of like, you know what, I complained one less time today,
Mm, mm,
right? Little micro. They're like, I just stopped complaining.
mm.
Yeah, okay.
No, but then again, is this now the what's it call it? Now the stop points on the journey are many and varied. That's what I've learned. Like you say, acknowledging the steps that we're making bit by bit is important, and recognizing them
Right.
for what they are. That for we are changing.
And I would say it this way, Annie. I feel like when you said the stop points are many, yeah, they are. And that's okay. Like
Mm,
there's
mm.
nothing wrong with stop points. But we can't stay there.
No, again, you and I have had this conversation before. Where I'm saying to you, Sean, when I get to a place, I'm just cracking on. I want to get to the next level. I want to get to the next level, and you're like, and just calm down. Let's enjoy some moments of where you
Stop
got to. I
Stop
agree
and
with.
smell the roses.
Yeah, breathe for a second or two, right?
And
But
I'm waiting to hear from Miss Paulette. I see her on
go
stage,
on, please, 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 feel free.
but I just see a black screen and no sound. You with us, Paulette? Maybe not.
Paulette, you there? I'm trying to. Okay, Mrs. Well, anyway, I haven't. Let me message her on WhatsApp and see whether she.
Yes, I'm going to highlight this comment from Sharon because it's very good. Right? When we shift identities, those closest to us may not embrace it, but that doesn't mean we need to go back.
Mm.
We can try to bring them along if appropriate. Be patient for them to adjust to the new, the uncertainty, the unknown, right? As you know, as Leslie highlighted, we don't want to abandon them. We're not just dropping them, we're not ghosting them, we're not leaving them by the wayside. But we have to proceed with our transformation as we need to proceed with our transformation and not fall back because of external. Oh, my son's watching. I think
That's a good thing, isn't it?
I just got a notification on YouTube that I'm watching.
Ah, there you are. There's two of you, Sean. Imagine that. The word is blessed.
My mini me.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Yes.
not. I don't know.
And I say, going back to our point again, it's a long journey, and it's a long
Right.
journey from where we are to where we're getting to where we're going to, and I
And
think
we will stumble.
yeah, of course, we'll more than stumble,
Right? We'll
and
fall flat
again,
on our face sometimes. Yeah.
I tell you, if we say, if we don't have a major episode somewhere in the journey, I'll be afraid because for me, the episodes, the failures, the stumbles, the challenges is where we grow. It's where we really become the person who knows what to do in this situation, who knows how to do what we do, right? Who's ready, who's equipped. There's not, I can't think of anything worse than just being successful all the way and then suddenly the wind changes and then you're like, wow. you know, um,
Well, and I actually was replying to one of your comments on my YouTube about big goals or big visions.
Hmm.
I had some fun with it. Of course, yes. There's an old saying that if your dreams don't scare you a little bit, they might not be big enough. And apparently, neither is my coffee today. Okay,
Yeah.
that didn't land right.
It wasn't you. Of course, it's me. It's me looking at my screen. Forgive me, right? You know, it's not a constant back and forth, so to speak, right? Like it's more. I think Dr. Leslie Flowers, she talks about the need for repetition.
Yeah,
You know, repetition to cement our belief and our faith in ourselves.
right. Repetition is the mother of growth and learning,
Mm.
right? Or one of the few things I know how to say in Arabic, "Itikra ya alim al shutar."
What is that?
A smart person learns by repeating it.
Mm.
It's actually a modification because the idiom I originally learned is like even a donkey can learn by repetition. And
Yeah.
I said it to one of my Arabic speaking students. He's like, Shawn, don't say that. It's offensive. It's rude.
It's true though.
You're basically calling them a donkey. He's like, change it to al shutar, which means a smart person or the clever person learns by repetition. Because they come and they say, how do I get better at English? And I go, Itikra ya alim al shutar. And they go, how do you know that?
Hmm.
Because I've repeated it 100 times.
I hear you.
Right? Or my favorite Japanese saying, Nana karoki ya oki, which says, fall 7 times, get up 8.
Mm.
Right? Because I heard it said once, if you're not failing, you're not doing anything.
Mm. You said we're not trying hard enough.
Right.
You're
as we said, you're staying in your CZ, right?
Mm. Mm.
Right? Because you're not stretching yourself. I was working with somebody yesterday, I think it was, and I said, you need to open up like The Economist. He's reading these graded articles. And I said, if you're understanding 70% of what you're reading, it's too easy. Go find something harder. Because we don't grow staying in our comfort zone. We don't grow if we don't stretch. Okay, is this one going to work? We have 2 Paulettes. The world is better. And I'm waiting for one of them to go visible or audible. Oh, there, the one dropped.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a lag too, so I'm excited to hear her wisdom.
We lost your sound as well, Paulette. I'm glad we're doing this now because we're on next to 7 o'clock on the hour. So, hateful.
Okay. I'm gonna do a little quick trick here. Okay, let's try that. Because I'm still showing 2 Paulettes.
Yeah. So now there is one. Paulette.
Nothing there. Okay, let me switch to this one. Whoops. Well, I guess I'll have to wait till children's anxieties room in about an hour.
Yeah. Nah, no Paulette. I'm sure no, she'll keep fighting, but no, the fight trying to find a way to get back.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, right? Is keep pressing, when you hit a wall, pivot and proceed forward.
For sure, for sure. And say this is why I say no. I say to you more than once that it's having total faith in yourself and in the universe and in your God, whoever your God is, right?
Yeah, that's
That,
I totally agree, Annie. That's the core of everything. It's trusting in yourself that you either have the skills and abilities already, or you can develop those skills or abilities. But
yes.
whatever happens, you will get to the other side. It might
Mm,
be
mm,
painful, it might be tough, but you know in your heart of hearts that I can get there. I can do this thing. I might have to pivot a lot.
yeah, but that's what we've been talking about, Sean. That the journey is never. It's not that straight graph that we imagine. It is that up and down thing. And the journey will be full of up and downs. It'll be full of you doubting yourself and a reason to say, why haven't I got this? Why do I feel out of place? Another thing you talked about recently, right? And you just have to just believe that, we are, we're on the path. We are willing to do the work it takes. We're willing to receive spiritually to see those opportunities that open up for us.
Right.
It's all of that, and God knows, it takes everything that we've got. Once we start doubting ourselves, once we start thinking, oh, maybe it's not going to happen, that just sets us back to beyond square one.
Yeah.
We have a long way to go to come back to square one, let alone begin to rise again.
Yes. Well, and as you talked about the graph, I was totally thinking of this illustration. Right. It's not
Yeah,
a straight line.
exactly
It's
that. Exactly that.
it's a lot of left turns and landing in Albuquerque and going back to somewhere else to try it again.
Hmm. Yeah, I like your graph because again, because it shows that we can go beyond, we can go past where we were. Again, I think, we have this ideal vision of constant growth and this, constant growth trajectory, constant increase. Whereas, we say many times we will literally fall back below square one. We'll go back to the and I mean, what can freak a human out more than that, Sean? Really, to think. And I thought I was better than this. How have I ended up back here again? Even worse than where I
As
was.
Doctor and as Doctor Phil always says, how's that working for you?
Yeah,
Well,
what's
and I like this graph because there's a lot of twists and
mm,
turns,
mm,
and
mm.
this is the journey. And I think part of the success is learning to enjoy the journey,
Yes, I agree. I agree.
right?
I
Not getting
agree.
so stuck on, oh my gosh, I'm 10 steps back. Instead of a reframe like, oh, I get to attempt this in a better way this time because
Mm,
I just
mm.
reset back to the start line and I can do it again better this time. And actually, I was at a an event, and I'm trying to bring up a whiteboard so I can show this.
By the way, there's a workshop right there in your graph. There's a conversation to be had about reality, the reality of growth. I do like
Yes.
that. If you're not going to do it, I might come and steal it off you. Yeah.
Well, I do have I have the identity alchemy masterclass in the works, just doing the development, getting it ready so we can bring it to the world, which is talking about a lot of this. It's about resetting my identity so that I learn to trust myself, that I can go forward, I can fall back and start again, I can go left, I can go right. It doesn't matter because I know I can do it.
Mm.
And let's see, is there. I want to blank. Okay, so I can do this. So the way I learned it was like this. You go through life and you're climbing, and then you have a dip. And then you climb again, and you might have another dip. And you climb again. If you go back and actually do this with your life, I bet you dollars to donuts that you will see a 10 to 20x improvement after the dip.
Mm. Yeah, again, I think that it's realizing that it's maybe I'll put it simply. It's God's way of saying you need to learn that thing a bit better.
Yep. Because, and learning that thing better means you're not only better prepared for the next chapter of your journey, but you're better equipped to bring others along with you.
Yeah.
And help them when they're in their valley and say, hey, here's the good news. There's an exit from the valley. And it's going to be better than the peak you stood on before the valley. Right? I want to wrap this up because I need to take a break and make sure my son gets his schoolwork done. In closing, stop share. I would say this. We were talking about coaches having coaches. I love this old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So having somebody to walk the journey, and it's actually exponential. You got 2 people or 5 people or 10 people. It's not 10x, it's like 100x or something. It's exponential what you can do in community. Like, we are not meant to grow alone. We are meant to grow in community.
I think it's partly for the simple reason that we can't do everything. Again, now the many steps, the long journey. It's also the reality that we're not going to know everything ever.
Right.
So knowing who to call, when to call them, who to partner with, who to collaborate with, who to employ, who to subcontract. This is the opportunities that I think
and that goes back to what we were saying. How do you know better who to employ or who to contract? By contracting the wrong people sometimes, or working with the wrong people and going, yeah, here's the things that I should have noticed. Now I know what to look for next time.
Yeah.
You And you know,
which is everything.
as I always say, I love feedback. I'm not saying it's easy, but feedback is valuable because if I don't know it's broken, how can I fix it? And if I'm looking at it, I can't see the break. You know, I think of my electrical days. We had fuses, and you're looking at it like the fuse looks fine. Put it in, it doesn't work. We had to bring something else. We usually brought a tester to test it and say, yep, doesn't matter what you're seeing, it's not, the connection isn't there anymore. And it's the same thing with our life, right? We can look in the mirror, we can think we're being all self aware, but we're still not seeing the whole picture. Without the community or others, mentors, coaches, trusted partners, and friends. Anyway, thank you, Annie, for your wisdom as usual.
No, thank you. It's always a joy to get to speak on your stage and to learn some more. You know, that's always that's an important thing. You know, I say thank you.
And that's the beauty. In community, we learn new perspectives, new ideas. And sometimes that means I have to challenge what I thought I knew.
I certainly have to, you know, from listening to you. You know, again, I remember somewhere that you said, you know, it's not discovery or finding, it's recognizing sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's
and so
yeah,
many
like
things.
finding your purpose or your
Mm,
it's more about just opening yourself so you can see it right
yeah.
there.
Mm. Really, it's been there for a long time. It's always been there, right? You
Right.
know.
Or, you know, as a I'm reading So Good They Can't Ignore You right
Mm,
now.
mm,
And he starts
fantastic.
out with the passion myth,
Mm.
right? Follow your passion. It's
Please
like,
don't.
like, don't get rid of that. Don't do that.
Don't do, no, don't do that. Really not. Really not.
Right.
Tread
But he
the gates
talks
of
about,
mentality.
you
Yeah.
know, the thing you're doing, do it better and
Yes.
build capital in that.
So
And
it's,
he also says, don't jump off the cliff. This is my wording.
mm,
Don't jump off the cliff until you know how to build the airplane,
yeah.
or at least you have a manual to take with you. Because there's an old joke, right? Entrepreneurs jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down.
Mm, mm.
That doesn't give the whole picture. It's not like they just like, oh, I'm going to magically build an airplane. They had some capital, some ideas of how a plane works before they jumped.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think it all comes back to identity, really. Believing that you do have, that you are the person who has the tools, who has the know-how, the wherewithal, the experience to start.
Or you can gain the tools, you
Mm,
can connect with the right people. You know, when I was young, Annie, there was that old saying, it's been there for years, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
indeed.
I learned it a little different when I was younger. It's not what you know, it's what you know how to find out,
Mm, mm,
right? If you know where to get the answer, whether it's calling Annie for publishing advice or calling Shawn for identity advice or
mm.
calling Leslie for goal advice or asking the right questions on Google or wherever, it's what can you find? What can you learn and what can you incorporate and then move on it, right?
Yes. That part, Sean. That part. You know, move on it.
Do
You know,
something with it. Yeah.
yes. You know, yeah. I said, and again, I said, I'm going to say, hopefully, we can end on this. Yeah, I guess there's this bit of the principles that has always confused me, right? I'm always reading books. I've written a book the other day, Waters, something like that. Then Wallace D. Waters, I think his name is, right? And believing in one source. I think he eventually explained the conundrum I think many of us have, right? So many of us have this understanding, we believe, that if we believe in the greatest source, the higher power,
Mm-hmm.
it means that we just literally believe and then fold our arms and wait for it to happen. It's not gonna happen, And almost everyone, every book I've read has shown and said, if you put too much effort into the how, you're gonna ruin the chance of receiving the divine intention. Put it that way, right? But no, I think that
it's a balance, right? You can't just sit there and just go, universe, I want blah 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 blah, and do nothing. But if you get all caught up in the doing and the how will I do it, that's problematic as well. There's a middle ground,
yes,
like
it's,
take appropriate action
right.
and trust in that higher power, that source,
Indeed, no, they said that's
or
been
whatever you want to call it. God,
Mm.
whatever. I'm a Christian, of course. For me, it's God. When we were talking perfect, I don't know if you heard it, Annie. My son comes in, he goes, "Except Jesus, I'm God."
Jesus. Yeah, he's God. Very good. They would know. Anyway, let's not argue about
I
that.
don't want. I don't want to get religious on that, but
Yes, yes.
with my 8-year-old.
You see, what Mr. Wallace Waters says is part of the how is that the doors were open for you, right? And all we have to do is go through the first door that's open for us right now. So do that thing that's in front of you right now, right? The thing that's most obvious to you, the thing that's in front of you, the thing that you can do. And the rest of the things that you need to do, the rest of the how will unfold over time. But just take that first step through the door that's there now. Even if you don't know where it's going to lead, and at least you're taking action. And then the next door will reveal itself in good time when you're ready.
And just for clarification, before we wrap up, Annie, do you mean, were you saying Wallace Wattles, The Science of Growing Rich?
Yeah, that one, yeah. He's got several books, hasn't he? Several.
Right, yeah, he's got The Science of Being Well, The Science of Being Great, The Science of Getting Rich, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So, and I never remember the order of names, but I think the first name is Wallace for sure, right?
Wallace Wattles.
Yes, that one. Is it Wattles? I get all wrong. And
it's Wattles, like the old way they used to build houses, right? Wattle and Daub.
I'm not that old. I'm young. And that's how I say it. I'm far too young to be aware of such.
I only became aware of it is because I was studying sustainable construction.
I tell you, see, that was the door, right? Again,
door, yeah.
And
I don't regret it.
Of course not. People will wonder how that your graph. So that's what your graph is showing, really. I say that many times you have to go into areas that we least suspect, and areas where we are by far not the cleverest or even good at them.
And go in open, because even though it might appear that has nothing to do with this, if we open, we go, oh, the dots connect.
Yeah. Isn't that just magical?
It is.
Anyway,
when we open up and let it come in, instead of being rigid in like, no, this is the way things are. That was a
And
diversion.
those people, I mean, that type of person, that is exactly that. No, we have to be open to different doors, and God knows what they look like. That's the real trick.
Yes.
In being yourself, right?
Right. And
Thank you so much, Coach Shawn.
be willing to walk through those doors alone if necessary.
Many times.
Because sometimes those with you aren't ready to go in there. Or they may never go in there. But, with heart, close up the connection and advance. Don't let it keep you in the old chapter when the new chapter is just waiting for you to put the pen down on the paper.
I agree. Thank you so much, my friend. You're a star. You enjoy it.
Thank you all. We'll see you next week.